Thanks for tuning in to your favorite content creator, UTV. To find out more, follow us on our social media platforms: YouTube UTV124, Facebook UTV124, Instagram UTV124, Twitch UTV124, TikTok UTV_124, and Flow TV channel 124. Remember, UTV, TV for you.
I can't
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the show. It is Tuesday, August 10th, 2021. It is an absolute pleasure being with you, as always, being here and discussing so many of the issues. We're starting a bit late, so my apologies for that. For those of you listening to us in our radio partner station, it's FM. Thank you very much for joining us. As always, if you are watching on our different social media platforms, we appreciate that as well, with Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube, all of them. Thank you for joining us. And on television, channel 124 on Flow, we have many different mediums at which we could have this discussion. Now, I know we catch our kicks already, and now we need to look towards the future and the change that we have wanted to see. But there are just some things, that you see, and you just have to look at it sideways almost, knowing what we know now. And people, I don't know whether it's what happens when you're a politician, or you need to just let people know, or at least come across as confident that you're going to win an election. And with Guy Joseph, he had his own prediction, and he was very, very confident about that. And I just stumbled on it doing some of the research for the show. I'm like, hey, I almost forgot that. Let's take a look now.
To make a prediction on your program tonight, the first Labour Party seat we are going to win this time around is Castries South.
Okay. You and I are on the same path, my friend.
I am telling you, as a boundary constituency, the number of people who have come to me and said that, look here, this time, Castries South is coming home.
That is for sure.
To the United Workers Party.
For sure.
And from all indications, there are surprises in politics. The surprise would be if we don't win that seat.
I believe
the
that.
surprise is not if we win it. The surprise is if we don't win.
I agree.
It. And I said it on your program, and I said it in, I'm not sure if it's on your program. I said it in Parliament. I believe, I am 100% convinced that 5 of the Labour Party seats are in contention to be won by the United Workers Party.
Yes.
But from what I see, 3 of them,
it's for sure,
I would say, is 80% leaning towards the United Workers Party.
Womp, womp, womp. So clearly, people were really confident. I put Castries South. Oh, so we are starting here. When I look at Guy Joseph, I think of a lot of things, and among them really is St. Jude's and what has not been able to happen there. But before we go into that, we need to look at what's happening currently at the stadium where St. Jude's is now being housed, and people are trying to do the best they can for over 10 years there, but it's not good. Ipabo PS, and I know that personally. My grandmother's been there, and I know, I've spoken to the nurses, I've spoken to people. It's very, very difficult to do what they're doing, and again, I want to applaud the people working there and doing the best they can, but we deserve more. We deserve more in the South. But just so we understand what exactly is going on there, yes, there's not enough staff. People are working in a very hazardous situation. People do not feel safe. There is not enough equipment, appliances, things that they need, from little things from bandages and bed sheets and all of those things. That's a problem. But it is sad when we are seeing all of what we know that's happening at St. Jude's, and nothing has been done by Guy Joseph, even with all of the boasting and everything else, which we will come to. But just so you understand what I mean when I say it is a dangerous situation for many people within that stadium, and something has to be done quickly now, yesterday, about that. And if you don't believe me, let's take a look at the electric room at the stadium there at St. Jude's, and clearly how hazardous it can be. So you'll tell me if this doesn't look like madness to you. You have water on the floor in a room with transformers and everything else and electricity, and you have sandbags on the floor. It's not a matter of if, to be quite honest, looking at that, it's a matter of when. When are we going to see something that we do not want to see, but it's right there staring us in the face? And it's more than irony that the first St. Jude's was destroyed by fire, and we're having that kind of situation happening there. So again, it's no surprise that earlier this month there, the 1st or the 2nd thereabout of August, there was a fire at St. Jude's.
Yeah, boy, me see St. Jude's on fire. There's a little fire inside of there. Yeah, everybody rushing out there.
Young Jade Joseph has been hailed a hero after springing to action to help extinguish a fire on the weekend at the St. Jude Hospital housed at the George Odlum National Stadium. A July 31st 21 explosion resulted in a fire at the hospital laboratory, which left one employee with burn injuries. Firefighters could be seen prying the door open as they worked feverishly to douse the flames on the burning equipment as smoke billowed from the entranceway. Jade Joseph was in the medical institution when the fire started.
I was in the waiting area when I heard a nurse or whoever it was, a lady. I heard she was calling out help, help, help. I stood up to see what was going on. Then she said it was a fire and stuff. So I automatically grabbed a fire extinguisher and tried to assist. I went out. It was the fire was in the lab, so I entered the lab and I put out the fire.
Special Reserve Officer Constable Tyler Frederick also assisted in evacuating the building.
I was at the office when I heard some loud screaming. I went to investigate what happened, and I noticed that the entire hallway next to the lab was engulfed in flames. I assisted in extinguishing the fire and getting the staff out of the different departments and getting everybody out.
Medical officer in charge at the St. Jude Hospital, Dr. Sylvester Fassois, revealed that alcohol used in the lab setting may have played a role in the blaze at the medical institution. He disclosed that the hospital employee in the lab sustained burns to the ear.
The technician was working at the bacteriology hood with sewing specimen, and she said some alcohol came into contact with the incinerator, an equipment used to sterilize the loop that is used to sew the urine or blood, as the case may be, into the media for culture. And that alcohol came into contact with the incinerator, which glows, and started a fire. The lab technician sustained first degree burns to the arms and the right ear, and she is admitted and being taken care of in hospital.
The St. Lucia Fire Service would eventually give the all clear for the lab to resume services. Health officials are now tasked with cleaning up the debris from the blaze. Investigations into the cause of the blaze are ongoing. The laboratory fire is just the latest incident at the medical facility. St. Jude has been plagued by a host of occupational and health safety issues since the hospital was relocated to the sports venue after the original building was destroyed by fire nearly 12 years ago. Gina Filippi, HTS News Force.
The hapless St. Jude Hospital was the scene of yet another mishap after a fire broke out in the facility's lab, leaving one employee with first-degree burns. The fire service received the distress call around 1:15 p.m. on July 31st.
Both the officers from Lakewood Fire Station and Viewford Fire Station responded to the call. Upon arrival, we immediately evacuated, did a partial evacuation of the area close to the lab, and then we commenced our activities in terms of firefighting. We realized that the fire was confined to a piece of equipment in the lab area. We isolated the equipment and we were able to extinguish the fire. However, it continued to smoke, so we decided to move the equipment out of that room and put it in the open area so that it could be more accessible for us to extinguish the fire, because it appears that the fire was burning inside of the equipment.
Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre held a dialogue on the relocation of staff and patients of St. Jude Hospital from the George Odlum Stadium. During his first media conference upon assuming office last week, Pierre made it clear that the completion of the St. Jude structure would be his order of business. The hospital has been housed in the sports stadium ever since fire gutted the original structure in September 2009. Health officials have complained about the deplorable conditions at the venue. Pierre, who visited the hospital following a minor blaze on the weekend, commended the young boy for his quick action in helping to put out the fire.
I really want to thank the nurses and the doctors and the people who work here. They're really performing human service, and it's made it more important to me and more pertinent to me to try to see if we can take these people, the patients and the staff, out of this structure and send them into new premises. Yesterday I had meetings with officials of the Ministry of Economic Development, and we had the discussions. And today I'm here because of that fire. I'm very happy that there was not any great damage. What was damaged, as you heard, was a cabinet. I've spoken to the staff member who was involved, who got some minor burns. I've visited her, I've spoken to her, and I want to thank Officer Frederick and the young man you met there, Jade. They were the real heroes. They were the ones who, it could have been worse, but they were the ones who saved us. They were the ones who saved the building. It could have been worse. I want to thank them.
Labrie MP Alva Baptiste, who was on the scene, echoed calls to speed up efforts to remove staff and patients from the George Odlum Stadium.
It just brings into sharp focus the need to expedite the completion of the St. Jude's Hospital at Auger and deal with that situation at the stadium. Because the longer we remain in that particular location, the worse it would get for many different reasons. The lab fire is just one of them. The physical condition of the stadium is bad news. It's threatening to the patients and workers at the George Odlum Stadium.
The St. Jude Hospital reconstruction project was mired in controversy under the Alan Chastney administration. The project was halted in August 2016 as officials conducted audits and leveled claims that the building was flawed. Work on St. Jude would resume almost 4 years later with the destruction of 2 buildings at the project site and the construction of a completely new structure. However, more delays would ensue after the island was struck by the COVID-19 pandemic. To date, despite hundreds of millions of dollars spent, the citizens in the south are still without a proper hospital building. Joachim Duplessis, HTS News Force.
And just so we understand how important this is for the people in the South, and like I've said, and I will say it again, it is a very difficult thing to imagine, to know that your loved one is in a situation like that. I know my father got his hand burnt and so many other issues that he had to deal with trying to save a man, and he said it was difficult to untie him from the bed. That was 10 years ago at the St. Jude's fire, and then you now have another instance of that. And for some people, psychologically, they must not be doing well if you've already experienced that 10 years ago and another fire while you're doing your job the same way. So physically and even mentally, I think the workers there, the patients there, they need better. And I understand that Philip J. Pierre has already assembled and commissioned a team to survey the east wing of the hospital so that people can already start to move into the new St. Jude's. I don't know when that's going to happen, but I think about $9 million to $12 million has been allocated for that to happen. And we remember that the east wing was already being commissioned by Accreditation Canada, and that was already being done. But Guy Joseph and Mary, they stopped it for 2.5 years, and we are now in this position. Lives are in the balance, and as we can see, there's a new cabinet of ministers already. The team has already been made. I think Mark Hennicard forms part of it, and John Peters, 2 experts. And like I said, I look forward to when experts are respected, professionals are respected again, instead of the Guy Joseph and giving people mapwe on stage and saying that John Peters is nothing and that sort of thing. We need real people, real experts to deal with that, because I am tired, and I know the thousands of Euphortians and all of the other people in the South, they are tired too. The workers that we claim to love, and the former Prime Minister claimed, the essential workers, you're working so hard. They need more. They need more. So as we're going to see some development, I hope, with Philip J. Pierre already assembling this team to move people into the East Wing, we need to now take a look at what happened and what has led us here. We have had 5 years of an administration that claimed to have the answers, and they were saying, you know what, St. Jude's almost finished, and look at the bright colors, look at this. It was more of the veggling, and I don't want no long talk. To be quite honest with you, I don't want no long talk about no cutting of ribbons. I like the idea of the team already being formulated, things already happening. But just so we understand the stark contrast in that, let's take a look at people, the Prime Minister's father and the others, the minions, trying to vegle us even when we know lives are in the balance.
The coronavirus had delayed a lot of things. Correct. And so, and the Honorable Guy Joseph made the announcement on numerous occasions. He had made it here that St. Jude's will be open before the next elections. Yes. Now, I'm not the Honorable Guy Joseph. I am not down at St. Jude's, but I've been there on 2 occasions. A lot of work has been done. And I don't want to speak for the Honorable Guy Joseph. I'm speaking from my own, based on what I saw, my observations. A lot of work has been done. It's a huge building, a beautiful, huge building. But based on the delays, that's Champagne speaking, not the minister, I don't think that St. Jude's will be open before the elections if we have to look at 6 months. That is me speaking, that is not the minister speaking, that is not you, that is just me, based on what I saw. And I'm still not a contractor. I am just saying, I could be wrong.
Tell you something, I buy what you're saying, Champagne, but also there are different ways to run a business.
Yeah.
You went down to St. Jude's, there are 3 different structures.
Yes.
That's just me again. I have not discussed the matter with anybody. As a layman, I've been there I haven't been there for 3 weeks with last time, but I get pictures of where they are.
Right.
Okay? There are ways and means that you can have what you call a soft opening, whereby you can concentrate on a certain area.
Okay.
Because I think from what I'm being told that St. Jude's has something like 50 patients or something like that. I don't know.
That's the George Odlum Stadium.
Yeah, at the George.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. They may be.
That's not a lot of people. Okay.
Yes.
Welcome to the hotspot, and I'm the host who will be definitely doing the most, your boy Kwan.
And I'm your girl Z. We do know, Kwan, that proper healthcare remains the #1 priority for the government of St. Lucia.
Indeed, it is,
and
Kizzy.
over the past year, Kwan, we did see the move from Victoria Hospital to the OKEU Hospital, which provided much more medical opportunities for our citizens here in St. Lucia, Kwan. And let me tell you, the buzz about St. Jude's, Kwan, finally, as a citizen of the South,
everybody's talking about it.
I feel elated that we are
Kizzy,
finally nearing completion of St. Jude's Hospital, Kwan. And we did, one of our roaming hosts, Joshua, did have the opportunity to go down there to speak to some of the employees on their experience. And let me tell you, it's a privilege to be working on a state-of-the-art hospital. So let's head on down to Joshua to see what he was able to capture with the employees down there.
Hey guys, you know who it is. I'm Joshua Harry here at the construction site of the St. Jude Hospital. We're currently here to see what's happening and all the progress that is being made. And to interview, I have a lovely young lady who's going to be joining me to discuss what's going on at the premises.
Hey guys, my name is Whitney Willie. I've been employed here as a site technician assistant for over a year.
Still at the construction site of the St. Jude Hospital. And next to me is Shem William, who is working on site here to make sure this hospital comes to fruition. So thank you for joining us. What is your experience working here at the construction of the St. Jude Hospital?
I've been employed here for about a year and a half. And over the past year, I realized that over 500 persons have been employed on this project. And young persons, that is, mostly young persons.
Well, the experience working here at St. Jude's Hospital has been one of growth and of hope, because it's been a while that we've been wanting and needing this hospital here, and we definitely now we have something of substance, we have something that has great promise, and something that is finally giving us the hope.
And that is something that is very beautiful that you said, because there are a lot of people who are seeking hope right now, who are facing unemployment. So with the construction of this hospital, do you believe that it has actually catered to some level of unemployment in the community or in St. Lucia?
Yes, it has. It has with the community, with the South. When we began, the majority of our workers here are from the South, and we worked even right through the entire COVID pandemic. We've been at it, we've been employed. Our numbers have not decreased. We've been keeping it steady. So yes, I believe it has helped a lot of persons through even the pandemic right now.
And as you say that there are a lot of young people or a lot of individuals who are here from the South, with this hospital being built, do you think that it will provide some aspect of economic development to the southern hemisphere of St. Lucia?
Yes, of course. I do believe that this would help. It is, I think it is evident right now. You understand, with the pandemic, you look at what's going on, you don't find as many people crying the way that they would. It's not felt the way that it is felt majority of the other places, because again, we're here, we're working at it, and everybody has something to look forward to.
Thank you, Shem Williams, again for joining us on this discussion on the hotspot, and thank you for always speaking of hope, because you mentioned that a lot of times. It's always good to have faith, to have a hope, because you never know what's going to come and happen next, So keep the inspiration. And Shem, before you go, do you have any message that you want to give out to our viewers?
We need to come together a bit more. We need to wait and support, just wait and know that something is coming. It's in the pipelines and it's for the better, So you have to wait, wait and see what happens.
I would really like to advise young people to, keep the faith, keep going, don't give up no matter what.
You're here at Unity and Prosperity for a Resilient Nation, Independence 2021. We still on, and the journey continues. So back to you, Kizzy and Kwan in the studio and reporting live from the construction site in the south. Back to you in the studio, ladies.
Thank you so much for that, Joshua. It looks like you had a wonderful time in Viewfort. And don't forget to tune in next week, guys, for another interesting episode of Newsflash.
Let me tell you, Kizzy, St. Jude's looks fantastic. We hear people talking about the Pearl of the Caribbean in the south. I think St. Jude's on its own will be the Pearl of the Caribbean. It looks absolutely incredible.
Indeed,
world-class
Kwan.
facility, and I'm
Indeed,
excited.
it does.
Being a resident of Dennery, it will be my absolute pleasure to head down there when I am feeling ill. So again, kudos to the government of St. Lucia.
There we go. There is the hospital. I want St. Lucians to compare what they're seeing today versus what was there before. You have now an international hospital. You have an airport going up next door. All these things work hand in hand to bring Viewfort to a civilized area. And that's all I'm trying to say. Nobody's fighting anybody. Do you think the government wanted to go out and borrow a whole lot of money to go and do something? For years, we owe it to St. Lucia, we owe it to Viewfort, we owe it to the South to make this happen. Right.
Good morning. It's good to see this beautiful structure we have down in Viewfort.
Yes.
The new built hospital by this government, the United Workers' Party.
At first, when I saw the young people and that show, the United Workers' Party show, when they were looking for the young voters, and Kwan was saying he cannot wait to get sick for him to go down to St. Jude's because it's so well done. And then you also have the former Prime Minister's father saying that this is a soft opening, so things could look good. And when now you're looking at that fire at the stadium, you know that people are justifiably concerned about their health and their well-being while they're trying to get healthy and they're sick and people are overworked. That is happening, and all this time the former Prime Minister, when you really put it in perspective, this was a joke. This was a joke and a PR stunt when people are afraid for their lives. So you take young people, you put them together and let them say whatever. You take a young man, give him a mic and tell him to act animated and, do a magic himself trying to get votes. But when the real work is supposed to happen, and that is the change that I think St. Lucians want. They want to see less of the PR, less of the pretending to work and not actually doing it. And I think with St. Jude's, what we're seeing constructed there, it takes the form of the former Prime Minister himself. It may look good, it may seem colorful, right on the outside, it looks like it could be the real deal, but on closer inspection, there's no substance there. It's not well put together, and there's nothing there. And I think for us in the South, I hope that we can see some change, we can see something happening at St. Jude's. But just so we can look back again, the former Prime Minister spoke of something again which I had an issue with, which was cladding. And they have their own factory and they're making it, and again another PR stunt. But it's something that we have to remember, just so we know that we never let that happen to us again. We cannot be bought, we cannot be fooled, we should not be tricked when people are dying. And who's to say who hasn't died because of where they are in that stadium? I mean, people are doing the best they can, but we do not know for sure. So, again, the lack of respect that we're seeing from the former Prime Minister in showing us what he's saying was great cladding and great movement and great ways to fix the new St. Jude's.
activity what the building is going to look like. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, how are you doing?
Good afternoon.
Everybody's in for a tour?
And that's where the therapy and we were standing there.
So once again, true to form, the former Prime Minister is, out there pretending to work, put on the goggles, put a hard hat on and try to pretend you're working while people record you. More PR, more of that PR and cladding. And it's so disrespectful that a country that had to deal with a crisis of a fire at its main health institution in the south, that we're going to decide to choose cladding, which is weak, it's cheaper, and you can put it up, and maybe it can come up just for the PR stunt of being quicker and people can be vaguely. But when a country went through that crisis already, we should have something that can really stand hurricanes, because exactly we know the hospitals can be used as a hurricane shelter and all of that, but that has never occurred to the Prime Minister, and maybe if it did, he did not care. We also know that the cladding will take on fire quicker. It's more flammable, all of that we know, but that's the decision being made by this Prime Minister. And even when we're seeing the nice cladding and it looking nice, this is what it looks like now. There are pieces of cladding at that hospital. Let's take a look, let's show the people the pictures, because we have an update of what these things start to look like. So, me cladding na Zoemea, Ja Flabo, the Prime Minister and his minions. This is what, let's go to the next one. This is what that looks like there at the hospital, even with the cladding factory and everything. And you could see, this is foam, you could break it off. This is not real, it's not strong. This should not be what is used for a hospital. And once again, the disrespect that I've spoken about all this time, with months on, you could see what it actually looks like. Now, for me, with what has happened before, we need to again, look at why we are here and why did it not seem, and why is it that the people were not the priority. All of what is being said and all of the money that is spent that we don't have a clear estimation of yet, millions of dollars gone into a building that I don't think we can use that. The way the cladding is set up, the way we don't even have electricals and plumbing, nothing is wired, but they just give people a big box. So if we're going to talk about St. Jude's, it's not just the Prime Minister. We have to talk about the Minister for Everything and what he had to say about that.
90% of the buildings remain. From what I know, is just two structures, two of the smaller structures that would be impacted with any form of demolition.
So we're saying here that the east wing of the St. Jude's Hospital is larger than the area being occupied at the stadium at this point?
Yes.
Good.
By about 4,000 square feet.
By about 4,000 square feet. How much did you estimate the completion of the east wing of St. Jude's Hospital to cost?
Just about 9.5 million EC dollars.
9.5 million EC dollars. So is it your testimony? Are you saying that to complete the east wing of the St. Jude's Hospital with more space would cost us less than the 12 million that they are willing to spend on the stadium?
Absolutely.
I think we have been very heavily criticized for stopping the work at St. Jude.
Government had continued working on it from the time they got into power, because fact is there was already a Taiwanese loan approved for $20 million US, of which 10 million had been used. So you found yourself with a dedicated line of 27 million EC dollars to work on the St. Jude Hospital. If they had done that from day one as a priority, we may be in a different position than we are now.
If we had made the decision from day one when we went in there, by now St. Jude would have reopened. That is the reality. If we had made the decision from day one when we went in there, by now St. Jude would have reopened.
The consultant engineer stressed that the roof is already compromised and it is better to come down in a structured operation. However, he said once the roof comes down, it will set a series of events into motion.
But once the fiberglass sheets come off, it means the process now to remove the rest of the roof must follow in a sequence. That's it must follow.
And the question now is, what happens if there is in fact some catastrophic failure of the roof at the Odlum Stadium and the resultant non-functioning of the hospital?
So the moving of the hospital from this facility, it must happen. Once this sheeting comes off, that's it. The sequence of events, you would say, has started. So the hospital must be taken off from this stadium in the shortest possible time.
90% of the buildings remain.
We would be better off in the existing buildings as currently constructed at the St. Jude site rather than in the stadium. The stadium is has a serious set of problems.
The standard Tapia was a hotel, if you know. It's
well,
a hotel.
I'm very much
right.
Yes.
Okay. It's a hotel that has been recycled to become a hospital. The standards of the facility at Tapia are in a worse condition than what exists at St. Jude's, and that's the fallacy of the whole thing.
Have a conscience. There has to be a moment in the life of a politician when his conscience has to take over his love for power and replace it with power to love the people who put them there. It's about them. Your legacy does not lie in what you've done for you, but in what you've done for others. That's what it is all about.
And maybe some people think, it's naive to think about politics and say love in the same sentence, but I do believe that Mr. Mondesi there is absolutely correct. And when we have the conversation about, why, if you care about people, why not just do what you need to do? Why not just do what you need to do instead of stopping, you not getting some of the resources, what the accountability isn't there? Why do that, guy, and the rest of you? But it seems that the only time these people will ever say anything that means anything is when it's about politics and retaining their seat. So he was right about one thing, that they were the reason, there was no good reason to stop the project, and if they hadn't, it would have already been completed. And he was also right that anyone who was there for 5 years and did not complete St. Jude's, they did not need to be re-elected. And he said it, and I think the people listened.
Before the end of the next financial year, we will be occupying St. Jude's in the new facility. Sama just power. Si nous pas deliver St. Jude, then nous pas supposé un gouvernement.
And the Truth Detector says the Economic Development Minister's statement Tuesday, February 23rd, 2021 was an untruth. And based on the timeline given by Guy Joseph, the completed building should have been, quote, occupied by April 2020, the end of the 2019-2020 financial year.
You can quote me anytime. Anything I say, I stand by. I'm not the kind of person who say things today and tomorrow I say that's not what I said. I feel bad that I will be compared to them in the delivery of St. Jude because it looked like it's going to take us 4 years to do so. Yeah, we are targeting 18 months, but that would be 18 months from commencement date of construction for St. Jude, which we are hoping will be in the coming months, way before this year end, that construction should begin down there. I'm not in the business of putting timelines. I wait on engineers. You see, the same people who are there gave 3 or 4 dates for the opening of the hospital, and they couldn't deliver. What I said was that when we start the work, I expect to be able to finish the work in 6 months. Some very preliminary work will begin next month, but we will be in full construction in January. So you can't see me giving dates about the opening of St. Jude. Okay?
Economic Development Minister and Castries Southeast MP Guy Joseph had made a promise that the government would deliver on St. Jude before the end of its term in office. With the 5-year anniversary of the election observed on Sunday, some say that promise is looking very elusive. Joseph addressed the issue of St. Jude on the Flambeau Forum on Sunday night.
On St. Jude Hospital, they were trying to do something again, no plan. That's why I tell you, you must have a plan. If I spend 5 years in this government and I'm not able to open St. Jude, then I should keep my mouth shut when anybody else speaks about St. Jude. Si nou pa sa deliver St. Jude, then nou pa suppose un gouvernement. Si nou pa sa deliver St. Jude, then nou pa suppose un gouvernement.
Well, the people listened and they put you out. They put you out. But more than that, I think with all of the bravado, and we've heard the clip where he's saying what the predictions were, and he would win Castries South, and he would finish St. Jude's, and if he's not done, and if they did not do it, then put them out because they don't deserve to be there. Again, like I said, people believed you, and people did that. So now, when Guy has lost his seat, people don't vote for him. People clearly just rejected the United Workers' Party for the reasons of corruption or whatever else that we're seeing here, the unaccountability that we're seeing. Nobody knows where the funds have gone and what it would look like on the books, how much has really been spent on St. Jude. So when, with all of the arrogance, you're asking questions of when it will be completed, and I was there asking questions with my other media colleagues, and there was a sort of dismissal, like, why are you asking that? Are we not going to give you a date? That sort of thing. There's an arrogance of being in power. Let's hear Guy Joseph now that he has lost. And I guess maybe now sitting home, I think he traveled, but I think it matters that after all of that, what does Guy Joseph feel with what he's done with the country's money? Does he have any regrets? Anything of the sort now that people have made the decision and rejected him?
Guy Joseph is speaking at length for the first time since his defeat at the polls in the 2021 general elections. The former Castries Southeast MP, who was first elected to office in 2006, lost to political rival Joachim Henry. Joseph, who thanked the electorate for their support over the years, hopes that projects started during this tenure continue.
I feel good about the representation that I have given. I was saying for the first time I woke up and I had nothing to do, and it felt so good. I don't know that it will remain that way, because when you're accustomed to working, you get bored after a little while. But, you know, it has been a very high level of intense politics for me for the last 15 years. And that is why I do not want supporters of the United Workers' Party in Castries Southeast to be disheartened by what has happened. I know it's a sad moment for all of us, but we will get over it. We will move on. We will do the things that we have to do, and life will go on. I want to let all of my supporters know that I will not abandon them 15 years, we built a strong relationship.
Following a contentious campaign race, Joseph, who conceded, also congratulated Joachim Henry and Philip J. Pierre, the new Prime Minister of St. Lucia.
I want to take this opportunity to congratulate Mr. Henry on his victory and to wish him well in his representation of the constituency. I also want to congratulate Philip J. Pierre as the Prime Minister to be sworn in. We went hard at each other during the campaign, but that's part of political life. I want the government to do well, because if the government does well, then St. Lucia will fare well. If they do badly, then all of us will suffer the consequences of poor governance. So I'm hoping that they can get it right and do what is necessary for St. Lucia.
Now, Joseph also responded to charges that his rhetoric partly contributed to the party's defeat at the polls.
Everybody who wants to say why we lost the elections, it's up to them. I know I did enough work to win the election. I always told the electorate in Castries Southeast, the day you decide, if before I decide to exit the politics, that you decide you've had enough of me and you want to change, I will welcome the change anytime you decide. So I know the majority of people did not turn out to vote, and I think I suffered the fate of what other politicians who have done very well in the past have suffered, which is that a lot of people concluded you win already. And if you look at my voter turnout, from 4,300 plus votes in 2016 to about 3,500, it is evident that our people did not turn out.
Moreover, the former public official expressed regret at not completing the much-delayed St. Jude Hospital reconstruction project, but hopes the development, which was revised under the UWP administration, will finally come to fruition. And what of the allegations of misdeeds leveled at Guy Joseph during his term in office, from the Pajoa letter row to the claims of the abuse of the direct award system? The former economic development minister is not backing down.
That is what I'm looking forward to with the greatest level of anticipation. You know, Minister King, well, former Prime Minister King, Richard Frederick, and the Labour Party have leveled a lot of things at me. I'm very confident that they will find nothing, but I challenge them. I'm challenging Philip J. Pierre, Kenny Anthony, Ernest Hille, all the hierarchy of the St. Lucia Labour Party. They can bring the best team of experts that they can find in the world. I want them to prove to the people of St. Lucia what Guy Joseph did that was corrupt or crooked in government, or what projects I ran that had cost overruns and had pricing that cannot be justified.
The firebrand politician, who has been a staple on the political landscape for over 15 years, says he is looking forward to a long overdue vacation, but he is not going anywhere.
They said the Americans are waiting for me. I cannot travel. I don't need a diplomatic visa to travel. I have my regular visa, and by this weekend I will be traveling and I will be going to the US. And I'm not going to the US to prove anything to the St. Lucia Labour Party or all those who are accusing me. That was part of my plan. I told the Prime Minister, win, lose or draw, I'm traveling in August. That was the plan that I had from early days. I did not take holidays for the 5 years I was in government. I don't look for pay, because I felt that in St. Lucia as a minister, even though you say you take time off from work, you take holidays, you do this, I never claim money for not taking leave. That is my choice. That this is what I did, this is how I work as a person. So it's good to be able to relax for the next few days.
The former MP and government minister is adamant that he will continue to be a fixture in his community, but for now his focus is on spending more time with family and loved ones. Joachim Du Plessis, HTS News Force.
So with all of what Guy is saying there, and some of it is actually funny, but I think, like a lot of other people, knowing everything that we have seen to go wrong, I said it yesterday when the caller made his contribution, that we want to see justice. We want to see justice, and as Guy Joseph said, if they didn't finish St. Jude's, people listened to him and put him out, but I don't think that is enough. And as we're talking about St. Jude's, because he was the front person, he was the economic development minister, we need to ask the question not only of what happened with St. Jude's before and the 5 years and all of the secrecy that surrounds it, but even now, even days before an election, we saw a complete abandonment of work at St. Jude's, which is very strange because that was the one reason, the one thing that was being touted as one of the successes by this administration. But then you just stop seeing anybody working. And more than that, right after the election, people saw in the neighborhood things being taken away. And I know Frank called to say that exact same thing. But people said to me, Tresha, there were trucks coming and take whatever, trucks coming and take cement, trucks coming and take whatever they could get, the equipment being taken away as well, and even private vehicles, cars, they can't even drive properly, they're so heavy with some of the things being taken away. And if you don't believe me, there are some things there that we have not seen. I've gone there myself, and we have not seen some of the cement, some of the works already that were already there, the videos that we've seen, evidence of it. We did not see any of that. So not only has the site been abandoned, but we're seeing the bags of cement that were always there, they're no longer there. You are Shaye, Rape and Scrape, Tiwi at St. Jude's. And you would think, again, the priority, if it were really people, that you would continue the work. Instead, people can now take whatever they want. Maybe they thought they were going to lose because they did a little bit right before elections, and then they finish point after elections. And for me, and all of what we've seen during the show, is just more of the injustice, more of what St. Lucia's had to deal with. And even now, even when they are out, people feel the need still. People have the power still to go and take things at St. Jude's. It continues to irk me and anger me, and I know for a lot of St. Lucians, a lot of V-Fortunes as well, from the conversations that I've been having with people who living in the area and business owners around. They saw what was going on. They didn't want to speak with me on camera, which I understand. Some of the guys, some of the people there are afraid. But when is enough enough? Even after all of that, even with the fire, even with people's lives in the balance, people still taking from us. We'll open the lines now at 572-7588. I wanted to let you know exactly what was going on down there, and that is why we need to keep our eyes open. I know APA went down and they took some videos a couple of weeks ago, and for the people there who send videos as well, I think that is very important. When I went there the week before, there was no work, but now we're seeing Fresh Start. They're continuing work, but it's not in the same way that it used to be, because we know people were working around the clock. Once again, Fresh Start completely, they took away half of their workers right before elections. Again, what legitimate company does that? We are going to need to keep these people to account. All of the things that we are not seeing I wonder whether to the bags of cement, because I'm seeing some similar bags around Union there, whether that's Skelly's were going on down there, whether that's the same bags of cement. I don't know where it's gone, but these are some of the questions that need to be answered. And we have a lot of questions dating back all the way 5 years, and now even more so. So for all of us, even going back down memory lane, knowing too that there's a new administration, I think they've already started with the team and trying to commission a team, trying to see how quickly they can go into that building. So even when there's some progress wanting to be made, you still get some people doing what they always do, doing and just taking more and more of our resources. And this is where we're at, quite frankly. And right now, I don't know whether Guy can give us some answers as to where these things went, whether we can get any information on that, but I know that at least he's not here right now. He and his wife, I think we have an image of that. Somebody posted it on Facebook of Guy taking his vacation that he said he would have taken. Some people, that's what they posted. Having a good time doing what you're doing. I guess that's what happens after an election. But even after all of that, there is no responsibility and accountability being taken by Guy Joseph. And I appreciate that the question Solange posed to him as whether he takes any responsibility for the loss of the United Workers' Party. And just like the former Prime Minister Alan Chastney and Guy Joseph himself, they will take no accountability, no responsibility. For the people who have called yesterday, I think we are in agreement that it is not right when we know things have been done illegally. There's been a conflict of interest, the kind of construction companies that have been given direct awards and been given work and been giving millions of dollars. We need to see justice for that. I think we will continue to look into many more of these issues, and maybe it would be easier now that Guy Joseph is no longer a member of parliament for him to go to court. Magistrate, because we need these questions answered. So I do think, though, that we have come to the end of the show. I have exceeded my time. With all of that being said, I would encourage people, no matter what and no matter where you are, there's been some of the citizen journalists, I would like to call them, who have sent videos, who have seen things themselves. And maybe we need to change the culture of that too, because when police officers and other people told me that there were vehicles taking some of the material there, like the cement and sand and everything else, we need to be able to see that. And for all of what we're seeing and all of what we're trying to work on in making sure that St. Lucia's assets are accounted for, it has to be all hands on deck. And it's not just, one person on a show, having a show, or people making calls. We need to be in this together. I think the new Prime Minister and his new cabinet, they're going to do what they must, and even then we have to hold them to account as well. So with the new team that they have formed, we're going to see what's going to happen with that. Do we have a call? Let's take let's try to see if we can squeeze in that call. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, good morning, sir.
Yeah, may I speak with Tresha?
You are speaking with Tresha?
Yes, Tresha, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
How are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I want to thank the Most High God for delivering St. Lucia. We prayed, and He answered our prayer. So bravo to the Most High God. Job well done.
Bravo to God.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, caller. Thank you. We have another call. Good morning. Good afternoon, sir.
How are you doing?
I'm all right.
Okay, I'm okay myself.
Okay.
I listened to Guy Joseph. I listened to him very carefully. And what I took from him was trying to trying for people to have sympathy for him. But I'm telling you, there are too many things on Guy Joseph that he will not be able to scotch free. He can jump high, he can jump low, he will not be able. And that's why I'm calling on the Prime Minister to the earlier and the fastest and the sooner he can go to Parliament, the better. And one of the things I want him to mention when he goes to Parliament, put the visa back on China and take out on Venezuela. All right? I want his first opening to do that. All right? Now, the other thing I want to say again, you see, I don't know, there are some politicians, I have to find out try to wonder myself, whether when it suits you, it's not a problem, and when it doesn't suit you, it's a problem. It's just like you will tell me you are patriotic St. Lucians, just like everybody, a patriotic St. Lucian. There's no halfway, three-quarter way, not any way. From the time you are born in a country, supposed to be a patriotic of where you were born. But I strongly believe there are some politicians. There are times they are patriotic and there are times they are not, especially when it suits them. And I'm just living there like that. I too know, and people like you and others who are listening, to read between the lines and look at it and see. I'm not going to say nothing more. Maybe next time when I call you, I'll give you a little bit again.
Okay, thank you very much, caller.
All right.
Have a good one.
Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Right.
But I think if you're going to be patriotic, it's not something you choose one day, or one day you are, one day you're not. I think it's just something that you are. And I hope to see a change in this new administration and in us as a country, where we do not get fooled by all of the talk and things that look good and just PR stunts. I want people who actually work. I want to see actual work being done and actual change, and not just people posing and pretending they're working. I want to see real companies get some assistance. I want to see real companies get work from government and not just leeching off of taxpayers' money. I want to see people stop stealing from a hospital that has to house sick people and an overworked staff at the St. Jude's Hospital that has been in a stadium for 10 years. People without a conscience who will still rape and scrape, take from an on-site thing that's still ongoing, to take the material there to do whatever else they have to do and to make their money on it, while people in the South that you all pretend to care about are sick and people need the help. Let's take the other call. Good morning. Good afternoon, sorry.
Good afternoon, there, lady.
Good afternoon, Desu.
And how are you, there, lady?
I'm okay.
I could see that, my friend.
No, you can see nothing. Koila.
Well, all right. Next time I'll take a picture.
All right.
So let me tell you. So I just want to find out if something could be done about these things, which I'm going to ask you. The project that's happening in the north with the highway, with the open bill, they give those guys our 50 million to do the project. And when the project has been complete and certified and up to standard, then they're supposed to collect interest on the money that they spent. And they already collect 2 sets of interest on that money, which Mr. Richard Frederick, well, Honorable Richard Frederick, did disclose to us. He showed us the evidence on that. Can those monies be taken back from these people? That's one. The people with all the contracts that got the contracts for St. Jude and all other projects, and now we are just seeing all projects on a hold, and how much thief going on, like his babies that just born, the thieving, Can these people be held accountable for these projects that they have been paid to complete the project with no money to be allocated to them again? Can those things be done? Enough things around the country that happen, and all of a sudden it just stopped. People flying here, people flying there, here in England, a guy in the US, I hear
Spider go. Spider Palano, please.
Man, Spider have to go. Next thing they put him on the big van. You know? Let me tell you. You know, I hear Mary in Canada, all kind of things. These people have to be held accountable for a lot of things that has happened in the country. Now, you saw a clip there a while ago where they're showing the former Prime Minister and them, they're making cladding. So, that was a school that was there. Because I see Gil there. That was a school. Gil is not education. They were educating people how to make the cladding. So, you know, all of these things, you need to wonder what the hell is going on. You know? So we need answers to these questions. We need answers. Because Honorable Richard Frederick showed us the evidence that thief money, Mr. Mangal, go and take check for $625,000 because that's interest that were paid on the work that's supposed to be done in the north on the highway. That's interest on the money that they spent on $50 million. And like they said, who knows if the project is going to exceed or even reach $50 million. We need people to answer these questions. Can these monies be refunded back to the government of St. Lucia? What is the case with the $9.4 million they wanted to pay the lawyer? What's happening with these things? All of these things, we need answers to these things. Even though election is over, yes, but we need answers to these things.
Agreed.
Those things cannot go underneath the table. We need answers for those things. You know, and nobody comes out and say anything about these things. This is the problem. Whenever elections is over and something happened, this is the problem. Look at the container of drugs they got in the court's yard. Up to now, nobody says anything about those things. Those things just go under the table. Those are the things we need answers to. You know? And right now, there's a spike of COVID cases just flying sky high. Shut down the borders again. Or Mr. Pierre, I mean, I'm one of the people who have actually campaigned and voted for you. So right now, that we have to put some things in order. Some serious curfews have to come down. Because this thing is so scary. All doctors all of a sudden coming out and speaking out now. They want to cry now in voice notes and on phone calls. They want to cry. Now you all want to cry. This thing is scary, St. Lucians. This is a serious matter. Don't take this thing lightly and stop with that stupidness about party. You know? There was a problem, we fix it. Let's come together now. Anyway, the lady, we will talk.
All right, then, mister. Thank you very much, brother.
Yeah, man.
Is that it? Okay, I want to say thank you all for watching. That has been the show. We will hopefully be here, same as always, at 11 and continue to have these conversations. But like I said, there are a lot of things with St. Jude's that we've seen in the past 5 years, and we continue to see right before and a little right after elections of things being taken, and we have no idea where they are. So we'll need answers for that. I hope to see you guys, like I said, tomorrow, where we continue to have the discussions in the most honest way that we can. Until then, please have a good one.
I can guarantee you they cannot touch that airport at all. They're not architects. You cannot downsize the airport. The way it's structured, the way it started, the foundation is there already. It has to go on.